Hello everyone and welcome to the Distinct Mastering YouTube channel. My name is Freddie. Today we're going to be talking about the Ableton Auto Pan. Once again, I got a lot of requests to talk about some of the Ableton effects and instruments, and I gotta be honest, I don't use all of them, so it's a great opportunity for me to learn every single one. Just a reminder, this year I launched my Patreon and YouTube memberships. I would love your support. This video, I'm going to be giving away a bunch of Ableton Auto Pan presets in the Patreon creator tier. And if you're curious, I also did a video on Stutter House effects, and there's bonus content for that for the supporter tier, which you can get on YouTube and Patreon. So depending on whatever package you want, check it out. There's a lot of content that's going to be going up there. Also, if you like the music that's playing in the background, it's a new one of mine as my alias Freshcobar on our label NOS Recordings. Links to all of that are going to be down below in the description. Now let's get right into the Ableton Auto Pan. Okay, as you see, I've got an extremely simple session loaded up. I've got a basic serum with a sine wave, and I've got this little Ableton organ down here. Both of them have the default Auto Pan. Before we get into what this thing sounds like, I'm just going to go over the controls real quick, so bear with me. First, you have the visual display. This is going to show you the actual shape of the panning that you've set up, or the auto pan or movement. So for example, if I adjust the amount, this is going to be how much of the auto pan you want. So as you can see, I'm set to a sine wave. Now you can change the wave shapes down here in the bottom right corner. And then you also have this random LFO shape right here. So you can also change the speed, let's go back to sine, by using the rate. So this is going to be faster or slower. And then you can change the phase, so you can move the panning itself and make some really cool effects this way, which I'm going to show you. And remember, I did make the Stutter House effects, which talks a lot about the Ableton Auto Pan, so make sure to check that out after this video. Also, you can adjust the shape, so you can basically turn this sine wave into a square. And if I adjust the shape of the triangle, you could see that I could basically almost get that to be a square wave too. So you could do some really cool stuff with this. Now, if you don't want to work in hertz, you could change the rate to sync with your DAW right here. So you can get all the standard increments up from 8 to, 4, 3, 2, 1.5 bars, 1 bar, 3/4, etc., and it goes all the way down to 1/64. So this is literally just going to sync with your Ableton and give you some rhythmic style effects. You can offset the, let's bring this up. You can offset this so you can move the position of the LFO. And then I also want to note that there's a spin knob here. So this is going to change this button from phase to spin. And what this is really cool for is if you're using it on, say, organs or keyboards, you can kind of create like the Leslie cabinet, the spinning speaker effect, or a tremolo effect. So it's just another way of shaping the LFO the way you want, essentially, within the Auto Pan. And then you can also invert the shape. So you see that I basically just completely flipped everything and inverted the whole wave shape. So that's the overview of the Auto Pan. Let's get into what this thing sounds like. Starting from a blank one, once again, on this serum, I have it soloed. I just have this basic sine wave, and I'm going to just let this run in loop. And I'm going to show you what this thing can do. So as you can see, as I turn up the amount, you see it's moving across the speakers. Once again, the rate is going to increase the speed. You can change the phase, so you can see some really cool effects are happening that way. You're getting kind of a pulsating. And here I'm kind of getting more of a stutter effect. See that? And remember, you can automate these, so I could make it sound like that, just like in synthesis. Changing the shape. And this is the random one I was talking about. Let's go to spin mode. That's kind of cool because now I've kind of got like a triplet motion going on. And then you, once again, can sync it to the DAW. And this is just flipping and inverting the whole shape. So it just went backwards. So as you can see, as I turn up the amount, you see it's moving across the speakers. Once again, the rate is going to increase the speed. You can change the phase, so you can see some really cool effects are happening that way. You're getting kind of a pulsating. And here I'm kind of getting more of a stutter effect. See that? And remember, you can automate these, so I could make it sound like that, just like in synthesis. Changing the shape. And this is the random one I was talking about. Let's go to spin mode. That's kind of cool because now I've kind of got like a triplet motion going on. And then you once again can sync it to the DAW. And this is just flipping and inverting the whole shape. So it just went backwards. So that's the auto pan in a nutshell. I'm going to go over some creative uses for this auto pan in this video, but if you really want some cool tips and tricks, make sure that you check out the Patreon and get some of my presets, or go to my YouTube membership and check out the bonus content on the Stutter House effects. Okay, so I'm going to show you some cool uses with the auto pan. Let's turn this up to 100%, and we're going to go ahead and turn this sine wave into a square wave by changing the shape. And you can essentially, if you take the phase down to 0, you can basically kind of create like a trance gate. I could essentially get the same thing with the triangle with the shape at 100%. And if you wanted to, you could sync this to your DAW. If you wanted less, just remember, turn the amount down. But you see how it's, when it's perfectly in phase like that, where it's overlapping, it's basically canceling some of itself out. Here's another way that you could use the auto pan very creatively. Let's do a basic stutter effect. So I'm going to turn this to 100%. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make it a square wave, but I'm going to sync it to the DAW this time. And I don't have a beat on this, but you can imagine if you had a beat, you could turn this into, say, an eighth. Turn the phase down. And now I've got some kind of stuttering going on, which would be the same thing as if you were basically setting up track mutes or volume automation to create that effect, but you can easily do it here and sync it to the DAW. Here's another creative way that you could use auto pan, defaulting this again. I'm going to move this to 100%. We're going to go ahead and put this to a saw. And right here, you're getting kind of a cool little pulsating sound. Let's speed this up a little bit. Take this down. And now you've almost got kind of a sidechain-esque kind of thing going on. But it's a little backwards, right? So invert it. Now you've got kind of this swelling thing going on. And that could be a cool sound design trick. You can kind of control the shape like this. And the amount, and you've almost got, like I said, like a side chain essentially, where it's ducking and picking back up. Now let's do like a completely random one. Maybe if you make like lo-fi music, or you know, you have a breakdown in your electronic or house music and you want to just do something odd. Remember, I'm just using a sine wave, so if you were to pick like a patch or design your own sound, this could be really cool, but we're using a sine wave for the simplicity, so you could really see what's going on with this. And I'm going to turn this to 100%. I'm going to boost the rate. You might sync it to your DAW. You could play with the offset to get it right in time with your track. You could spread the width and the shape. Now let's slow it down. And I've got this cool little thing going on that could be used in various types of settings just to create more ambience and more movement in your sounds. So just remember, I'm going to be giving away some saved presets that I have created with my Ableton Auto Pan, and just check out the Patreon if you want to go get those and download those and load them right into your Ableton. The last thing that I do want to discuss is I want to kind of show you guys, I have an Ableton organ here. It's just an Ableton funky organ. Let's solo this one. The funny thing is about this organ is you can hear a sine wave tone in it, but it's going to work for what we're going to do. I just wanted to change the sound a little bit, and let's recreate kind of like a Leslie cabinet tremolo feel. So essentially with a Leslie, the speaker would be spinning, right? Could control the rate. And if you wanted to kind of make it go like it's like moving around the room and sometimes hitting you, you can change the phase right here. Now let's slow it down. Pretty cool. And then if I take the shape to a square, now it's no longer like the tremolo effect. But I've got some cool little movement. And so really what I recommend you do with this thing, try it out, play around with it. I wouldn't use it on too many sounds. You don't want things to be all over the place in your mix. Pick a few key sounds, or if you're gonna take the phase all the way down to 0 and turn it into some type of stuttering, make sure you kind of like match up the timing on some of that stuff so you're just not making a mess in your productions. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. This was the overview of the Ableton Auto Pan, continuing the series on the Ableton effects. And I just want to let you know, remember, I launched the membership section. I'd love your support. Please check out all the links below. Remember, if you like the music that's playing in the background, it is my new track out on NOS Recordings, and it's called Heather. Links down below, so you can go check that out on whatever streaming platform, Beatport, track source you prefer. And in the meantime, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Been doing this channel for a while, and you know, fresh ideas are always helpful. So please drop me a comment down below, and until the next video, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.